Hello and welcome to Old Ways Gardening and Prepping. I'd like to welcome you out to the party shed right now because I want to say laissez bouton roulette. Let the good times roll. As you can tell by the title of the video, it's king cake time because you know why? It's Mardi Gras time. And I'm going to show you. It's going to be a 2-video process. The first video, which will be today, will be on a traditional king cake with a little bit of my spin to it. And tomorrow's video will be a cream cheese filled king cake. Oh, it's going to be good, folks. It's going to be good. Now, of course, it's Mardi Gras time. Just starting. It's only been going about 3 weeks, but it's starting to pick up steam, and gotta make king cakes. I've been making king cakes for a long time because I don't want to buy no king cake. I make mine from scratch because they taste a whole lot better, and you know exactly what's going into them. So let's get busy making a king cake. I'm gonna take my hat off because I don't want any of these glitter or sparkles to get in my bread mix. So let's get ready to roll. I've been hearing Fats Domino singing in the background for a while of Let the Good Times Roll. Okay, first off, what we're going to do, and the king cake has been popular since the beginning of the 1800s down in New Orleans for Mardi Gras season. Alright, I have 1 cup, and this is my way my grandma made it. You can use 1 cup of warmed whole milk. Please don't use no 2% milk or none of that other stuff. This is a cup of warmed, about 110 degree, half and half, because I like my king cake to be rich flavored. Now you can use whole milk, that is fine. And you're going to want to add to your warm milk a half a cup of sugar. Because we're starting off a base to feed the yeast. And you want to mix it real well. And now we're going to add 2 tablespoons of yeast. And it's easy to hand measure. And that should be just about, if I can get it all in the tablespoon without it. Yep, some fell in. But see there? Hand measure. That's 1 tablespoon. And use good yeast, people. Good yeast. Don't use no bad yeast. We're going to mix that in gently. And I see a lot of mistakes people do. You never mix salt. Never mix salt in with your yeast. It will kill your yeast in a heartbeat. The sugar in the half and half is to feed the yeast and get it activated. We're going to set that aside because we got some other things to do. Now, nowadays, it's traditional for a baby to be in the king cake. I don't like no thought of no plastic baby being in my king cake. I go back even further in tradition. Some use fava beans. I don't like them nasty things. I use large lima beans. Large lima beans. And since I'm going to be making 2 king cakes, I'm going to go on and knock it out at the same time. Now, what you're going to do is, well, I like doing mine shiny side up so people can see it. The reason behind, and this is going to go inside your king cake. The reason is whoever gets that slice of king cake will have good luck for a whole year. And they have to make or buy the king cake the next year. I like it more that it's a sentimental, older tradition, and it keeps plastic out of your food. Ugh. Now, of course, when you go to slice your king cake, make sure to inform everyone that's getting a slice. Watch out for the, don't eat the aluminum foil covered lima bean. Do not eat your lima beans. I'm going to set those aside. And later on, I'm going to move this. Later on, we'll be using this because you got to make your own sugar. I don't buy that already made colored sugar. And you're going to need yellow, green, and purple Mardi Gras colors. Alright, let's get busy some more. I just wanted to show you the old traditional way of aluminum foil wrapping. And see, this is what it ends up looking like. I didn't know if y'all got to see it. And I'll show you later on when I go through making the king cake, the process of getting it in there. Making a king cake from scratch is a labor of love. It's not a quick thing. And it should never be. I'm going to need a tablespoon of lemon zest, fresh lemon zest. Dry, if that's all you have, that's fine, I understand. And make sure you wash your lemons very well, unless you grow them yourself. Oh Lordy, that smells good. And you want to try not to get any of the white pith in there, but it's not going to be the end of the world if some of it gets in there. I usually go just a tad bit over, because the lemon zest makes it taste so good inside. Now what I do, and it's just a hair over a teaspoon, I sprinkle it into my flour. And that way it gets all mixed in. I put some in my melted butter. I spread the love all over. Now, of course, the recipe, and this is a single batch recipe this time, folks. The recipe will be in the description box below the video. That way you can make your own. Yeast is doing good, and I'll bring you back as soon as it has proofed. I forgot to say, I let my yeast mixture proof for at least 10 minutes until I know that all the yeast is activated and ready to make bread. See you here back in a bit. Okay, the yeast has proofed nicely. Look how thick the yeast is. It's a growing. So, it's been 10 minutes. That yeast is ready to roll. Now, you're going to need 5 egg yolks. I've separated 4. Let's get a 5th one going. Now, I usually separate them using my hand, but this time I'm going to use the eggshells. And we're going to move those out of the way. And you want to do not waste your egg whites. Put those back and make you an omelet with it. Or some egg drop, whisk it up, make some egg drop soup. Get my whisk out. I want to beat those up real good. And I'm going to incorporate, oh yeah, 1 cup. Now that's room temperature now. You don't want it hot because you don't want your egg yolks to cook. And that's 1 cup of salted butter. And you whisk that and the egg yolks together. And you're going to pour that in with the yeast. You don't want to waste anything. Now we're going to want, now I add just a tiny bit of allspice into my batter. Not much. Just enough. Maybe a 1/4 of a teaspoon. That way it'll have a small hint. And you're going to want a teaspoon of real vanilla. Don't use any of that fake stuff. That's a little healthy teaspoon of vanilla. A king cake is basically close to what a brioche bread will be. And this is 4 cups of flour. I use 2 cups of bread flour and 2 cups of all-purpose flour to give it just a little bit of a oomph. Of course, the recipe for this will be in the description box below. And I'm going to add the rest of my flour. And I'm going to stir it in. Oh, that smells so good. You can smell the vanilla, the hint of allspice, just the hint. And you can smell the butter, all the good stuff. Now it's going to be a sticky bread for a little bit. We're fixing to have to knead this baby. I'm going to move stuff out of the way. No. Add a little flour in my bowl, because you're going to want to dust your countertop so you can knead it and it won't stick. That's way enough flour. Now before I start kneading this bread, I'm going to take my beads off because I'm proud of my beads. These are part of my big collection. Because I was blessed to be able to go to Mardi Gras, the first one after Katrina. And I don't want to get batter or dough or flour all up in my beads. So I protect these babies. Because those are very special Mardi Gras beads. And yes, I did get those during Mardi Gras. I did not bomb. And you want to dust your surface very well. hair out of my way. And you want to get all that rich goodness out of there as much as possible. I absolutely love making king cakes. And let's get this big old bowl out of the way. And just so you know, this is a single batch recipe. I make single batches every once in a while. And you want to knead it. Make sure it's good and kneaded. Oh, it's a good soft dough. I absolutely love making bread. It's so peaceful to create bread with your own hands. Watch the yeast come alive. And make sure you get all your pieces of dough, because you don't want to waste no king cake dough. And you're going to want to knead it for a good 10 minutes, 10 minutes to 15 minutes. And I will bring you back as soon as I'm done kneading. Okay, she is done kneading. And I use just the right amount of flour. She won't take up any more of the flour. And she's not sticky or anything. I'll clean my bowl out a little bit. I'm going to oil it. Well, I lightly oiled it. And I'm going to put her in there. I'm going to cover her up so she'll stay warm. And I'm going to let her rise for about an hour, hour and a half, until she's doubled in size. And you want to make sure that it rises in a very nice warm place. Now, I'll bring you back here in just a little bit to make the sugars. And while she's rising, that way you can get everything else ready to go on down the line of making a traditional king cake. I'll see y'all back here in just a little bit once I get all my ingredients ready. Okay, it is time to make the colored sugar for your king cake. Now I'm going to be making, remember I'm going to be doing 2 videos, so I'm making 2 king cakes. So I'm doubling up on the sugar. Single batch will be a half a cup of sugar, but I'm using 1 cup. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you've never had a king cake, it is not whatsoever diabetic friendly at all. Alright, the 3 colors that represent the Trinity, the 3 kings that came to visit Jesus as a baby, is going to be yellow or gold, green, and purple. This will be, or should be, on every single king cake. And if it's not, you done got gypped. And I'm telling you, you do not want to get this on you whatsoever, because it will stain. Okay, forget it. I'm going to use my fingers. You can use food coloring, but the paste, this is Wilton frosting color. There we go. I have to encourage it a little bit. And you want to keep working it until all of that gets mixed in and dissolved. That's a beautiful yellow, or representative of gold. I was going to get some golden casting sugar to use, but let me tell you all the chemicals that was in that. No, I left it sitting on the shelf. Okay, I've got that mixed up good enough for now. I'm going to mix it up some more. I just don't want to make y'all keep suffering through me mixing it. But you want to make sure that each batch of sugar is completely colored. You want to make sure that there's none of that color left in your bowl for the next batch. Wipe off your knife very well. You can also use toothpicks as well. Alright. On to the next batch we go. And wipe off your whisk as best you can. That green's starting to come through, and on my hands too. it's best to color your sugar by hand, because if you put it in a food processor, it'll turn to powdered sugar and it won't work right. It'll be too fine and you'll take a chance of it burning. And you want your colors good and strong colored. You don't want no light colors. It's a king cake. It's supposed to stand out. Alright, that's a beautiful green. I'll work it some more here in a little bit. I just want to make sure y'all get the general basis of how to make your king cake sugar. And like I said, you want to make sure that your sugars are very well colored. Because you don't want no, it's a shame to have a plain king cake. They're supposed to stand out. And next is beautiful purple. Now I'll go into more detail about the legends behind the usage of the color when I go to decorating the king cake. Oh, heck, my hands are already colored. I'm not gonna worry about it. And each color represents a different meaning. And I'll go into more detail while decorating the king cake. It's funny, as I stand here mixing the sugar, all I can smell is the zested lemon way over there. And you want a good, pretty, dark, vibrant purple. Just like you want a good dark green. A lot of times the yellow is iffy, because the sugar will only absorb so much color before it starts messing up on you. And you're going to want to let these air dry some, so I'm just going to let them sit here while the dough rises. That way they won't clump so bad. Look at that beautiful purple. Isn't that a gorgeous purple? Oh, that makes my little heart happy there. That's a good batch of purple. Oh, this is going to be pretty. Let me tell you, wipe that bowl out because you'll forget. You will forget. Put bowl there. I'm going to have to go in. You can't tell I'm making Mardi Gras king cake. Oh, that's pretty. And I just put a paper towel on top to keep bugs and a lot of the moisture out. But this is what I'm using. Wilton frosting color, violet, Kelly green, and buttercup yellow. Alright, once the dough's rose, I'll bring you back. I'm going to move my sugar to a safer location because when that dough has risen, it's going to be, hold on a second, it's going to be time to get really busy and make the king cake. Alright, I'll bring you back here in a little bit. See you after a while. Okay, the dough is done rising. Big, beautiful dough. Good soft dough too. That's always a good thing. Let that rest for a little bit. I already have, from the first video, my cinnamon sugar mixed up. Now I'm going to work on the cream cheese filling. Since there's already so much sugar in the king cake, I'm not going to add any sugar to my cream cheese. I do have about a tablespoon of fresh grated lemon zest and about a teaspoon of fresh squeezed lemon juice. I'm going to add about a good healthy teaspoon of vanilla. And you want your cream cheese to be at room temperature. You want to make sure that it's really good and incorporated. Whew, I done got it warm up in the shed because it's cold outside again. We're going to be cold this weekend. We went from up to 70 today. Down, our high tomorrow is going to be, well, this video will go out on Monday. Our high on Saturday is going to be 36. That's a pretty steep jump down from 70. Barely taste the vanilla, which is good, but you can taste a good amount of the lemon, which is going to be really nice addition to the cinnamon sugar. Now we're going to want to flour the countertop or whatever you're using. You want to make sure you use plenty of flour. This is a good soft dough, dense soft dough, and you don't want it to stick. Look how good that is. Nice and soft. Be right back. Sorry about that, I had to cut that heat down. Well, actually off for a little while. This done got way too hot in here. It's good for dough, but it's not good for me. Okay. And just like the first king cake, you're going to want to split it into 3. Now this one I'm going to not do a layer of butter on it. I'm going to do the cream cheese and then sprinkle the the cinnamon sugar on top. There it is. My gracious, I forgot where I put the cream cheese. And you want to leave room on the side so it can roll up. So it will seal. And you want to leave room at the ends too, so your cream cheese doesn't leak out. And this is a stick and a half of cream cheese. Oops. Overshot my mark there. Okay, and my cinnamon sugar. And this is why I didn't add any sugar or sweetener to the cream cheese. Because you're not going to need it. You want to make sure you get it really good. And the cream cheese filled king cake is a newer addition. It's been around for quite a while, but not as long as the regular traditional king cake. Of course, now they got all kinds of crazy flavors for king cakes, and it's just not as good to me as the original. Now, of course, if you wanted to, it's not traditional, but sometimes dried fruit like raisins would be added. You want to try to be as careful as possible. And if you see any cream cheese sticking up, close that back up. Okay. You don't want it, look at that. You don't want it real thick, but you don't want it too thin. You want to be able to taste it. It looks like this dough is rising fast too, which is a good thing. Ooh, thankfully it's starting to cool down in here a bit. And you want to try and make sure you split your cream cheese up enough to where each gets cream cheese. You want to definitely make sure you wipe your fingers before you go to roll it or touch your cinnamon sugar. There we go. And we're going to roll this one up. And try your best to pick it up along the edges so you don't get any cream cheese on your fingers. Okay, great. That's so much fun. I love making pastries, king cakes, breads, and any sticking out at the end, just tuck it in. It almost sounds like it's raining outside. Must be the dew falling. And you'll just keep scooting. You'll want to pull them. Make sure they're the same length. Don't worry if they're the same size. Just try to get it as close to being the same as possible. But the length, you want to make sure that they're the same length. I might have a little cream cheese left over, maybe. We'll find out. Now, since this edge is uneven, I'm going to roll it this way so I have the even edge. And like I said, you want to leave a good size area so when you're rolling your dough, it has somewhere to stick to one another and seal up. Because you do not want your cream cheese to melt and escape. Let me tell you, cream cheese smells amazing with the lemon and the vanilla in it. Look at that, perfect. You want to make sure that you don't poke the other ones, especially if you have those long fingernails. You got to be careful because you'll poke a hole in them. Yep, I done it. I had to. Had to have a quality check. But this is for me and my family. So guess what? Yeah. We're not germaphobes. Whoop. That was a good catch. And of course, if you do run out of cinnamon sugar, just make some more up. It's not the end of the world. Just make you up some more. Oh, this bowl smells good. It's always important to use good ingredients. I'm going to tell you, this cinnamon smells amazing. Alright. And don't worry if it's uneven. It's going to end up evening up. So, everything will be just fine. Eventually I'll have to do a recipe on my great big cinnamon rolls that I make. Haven't made them in a while. And I make them all different kinds of ways and flavors. I'm just happy to be able to get to make these king cakes. Like I said, you want to go back, make sure your edges are crimped together, but you don't want to poke them too much. And the dough's a little stiffer. Do due to not having extra butter in it, which is a good thing. Now, I already have a sheet pan lined with parchment paper. So now the fun begins. And you want to do it gently. See, because it'll pop open. Because it's a good soft dough. Just crank it. Pinch it back closed best you can. It's not the end of the world, believe me, folks. I usually try to keep the gaps between them a little bit away from one another. That way it's easier to lift them fast. Yep. Just mush them closed. All is fine. Okay, we're going to put our cookie sheet here, and we're going to pray. You want to support it best you can. See, it's going to break. You just mush it. It ain't the end of the world, because it's still going to eat fine. Still going to eat just fine. And I'm just going to cover it with sugar, and it's still going to be beautiful. That's why I roll each braid section. That way if one little crack happens, it's not going to leak out all the cream cheese. And if it does, still going to eat it. This one I'm going to have to mush it a little closer. It's also a little warm in here. Should have chilled. If you have trouble like this, you can just chill your dough a little bit. But me personally, I don't see it as trouble. I see it as challenge accepted. We're going to scoot it over here a little bit so that I can get it away from that edge over there. Because you don't want it to touch the edges at all, because it will overcook and burn. Might not be the prettiest. Oh my gracious. I knew I was going to forget it. Let's see. Can't be making no king cake without the llama bean in it. Oh, I'm glad I remembered that. Ancestors would have smacked me. Okay, it might not look the greatest, but you know what? It's going to taste good. Alright, and once the sugar is on it, ain't nobody going to see it, so don't worry about it. I'm going to put some plastic wrap over it. I'm gonna let it rise for about at least 30 minutes. That's big enough, it needs 2 pieces. I'm just proving to you, not everything has to be perfect. Nothing's meant to be perfect. It's homemade. Alright, I'm going to let it sit over here in the warm area for at least 30 minutes to rise. And I'll bring you back when it's time to decorate it. I'll see you here after a while. Okay, I found out a while ago that yes, it's not dew tapping on top of the shed. It's rain. Wasn't even in the forecast to rain. And we're supposed to get a dusting of snow tonight, which was not in the forecast either. So welcome to bipolar land. Okay, with that being said, the dough, the king cake has rose for about little over 30 minutes. Do not worry about it looking perfect. There is not a single thing on this earth perfect. As long as it tastes good, that's what matters. Alright, now for those who might be just watching this video and haven't watched my other king cake video, there is symbology behind the king cake. The braid and the circle represents the unity of all religions and faiths to come together and be one. Now, I do not like the powdered sugar icing on my king cake, because to me that's just overkill. I just use a little butter, because you know butter makes everything better, and I just sprinkle my colored sugar, which also has a meaning, and I will tell you that here in just a bit. You just want to make sure that there's just enough butter on there so your sugar will have somewhere to attach to. Okay, and we're going to do separate bands of each color. Now, the purple represents justice. May you have justice during this year. May all be just. And you want to make sure you get a good amount of sugar on your king cake, because you want your king cake to be beautiful and very colorful. And like I said before, this cake is not for diabetics, not whatsoever. And I apologize, but it's just tradition. Alright, next color is going to be green. And that represents faith. Oh, and another thing. I have my oven. I'll get it spit out. It's way late. I have my oven preheating to 350 degrees. I'm going to have to add just a little more butter. Oh my. You know, there's some horrible things when you have to add more butter. And what you want to do is try to make sure that your bands of sugar are equal, going to end up being the same amount. Now, next color is yellow or gold, and it represents power. Now, legend has it in the king cake world that the three colors represent the three kings, or the three wise men. That's just what I have heard. I do not have any absolute verification of that. And I'm going to keep going around, adding more butter so the sugar will stick, and I will bring you back as soon as I'm done. Okay, I also forgot to mention that I use a paper towel to put my butter on because it predates a pastry brush. And I prefer using them for a king cake. Well, blessed once again. All the colors turned out perfectly distributed, and it looks really good. Now, you're going to put this in a 350 degree oven for about 25-30 minutes or so. Just start watching it at about 22 minutes. You want to get a nice golden brown, but you do not want to burn your king cake. You put way too much trouble, well, not trouble, but way too much time into making your king cake to let it burn. And this one, I notice it's rising, but it's going wider. So they have a mind of their own. Sometimes they go wider, sometimes they go up. And plus, it's not helping with this crazy, bizarre weather out of the blue. So, I'm fixing to go get her in the oven, get her baked, and I'll bring you right back when she's done. See you after a while. Well, the second king cake has baked beautifully. She decided to rise and spread out, which is perfectly fine. There's not a single thing wrong with this king cake. It is still beautiful, and you know what? It's going to eat real good. Let's cut us a slice of her. Before you try to eat her, make sure that it's, before you try to eat it, make sure it's cooled down. It's still pretty hot, but here we go. Absolutely amazing. You can taste the cream cheese, the lemon, the cinnamon. It's wonderful. It's good and moist. And, oh, this is a wonderful king cake. I absolutely love to make king cakes. Now, one thing I will say, your colored sugar, definitely save your colored sugar. You can store it in Ziploc bags or in jars. You can make more king cakes with it. You can make cookies with it, decorate cookies. Yes, Mardi Gras cookies. You can also do many things with the colored sugar, and it'll stay good. So don't panic. It's got a long shelf life. Simple, easy, homemade, and yes, you can also make your own king cake. And like I said earlier, the recipe will be in the description box below the video. And this isn't a double recipe. This is a single batch recipe. And also I wanted to say, if I knew the weather was going to be as crazy as it is tonight, I would have waited. But that's okay. You know what? I still have a wonderful tasting homemade king cake. I just want to tell everybody, bon temps roulé. Les bon temps roulé. Let the good times roll. May you each be blessed. Make you a king cake and have a small celebration. They are wonderful. And like I said, you got to be careful. Somewhere hidden in this king cake. So far, I've been lucky. I haven't found the lima bean. My luck, I pretty much figured the lima bean's coming for me. Now, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comment section below. I hope this encourages you to also make your own king cake. They're not hard. It just takes a little time. And these are traditional. They don't have the powdered sugar frosting or drizzle frosting on it. And to me, they taste a whole lot better without it. But that's your personal preference if you choose to use it. And you would wait till you bake your king cake plain. You would drizzle it's a powdered frosting like you put on cinnamon rolls. You put that on and then put your sugar on. And to me, that's just overkill. And plus, it's a new way of making king cakes, and I don't like it. Simple, easy, and yes, you can make it. I hope you've been encouraged to make your own with this video. I look forward to seeing you in my next video, and may you each be blessed. Take care, everyone.